The classic example of the Sunday competitor who rides for fun with his usual ear-to-ear grin is Malcolm Smith. The only thing different between Malcolm and the rest of the Sunday competitors is Malcolm rides a greater variety of events, something different almost every Sunday. He seems to enjoy it more than anyone, and he's also the best.
5 hours ahead in your class?
Back in 1968, when being interviewed by Wide World of Sports about his amazing performance the year before in the Mexican 1000,
this is more interesting. You go
he didn't talk about how tough it was.
enter the whole race.
Instead, typical Malcolm.
Fun.
Did you have any adventures during that 9 hours and something last year in this wild country?
No, it was easy going down, but it was hard coming back. We had an old Volkswagen that a friend of mine drove down there, my co-driver this year, and we started back and it gave up on us, and we rode on a turtle truck with live sea turtles on the top of the turtles all the way for 5 days.
On the top of the live turtle?
Top of the live turtles, and it smelled very bad all the way back.
On the starting line, most riders are nervous. Malcolm's usually got a smile. Of the many events Malcolm rides, he's particularly outstanding in the rugged off-road races like the Mint 400, a 400-mile race through the desert near Las Vegas. Like riding from San Francisco to Los Angeles through the roughest imaginable terrain and averaging 50 miles an hour. The race goes on night and day, and when it's all over and the other riders are almost in shock from exhaustion, there stands Malcolm in the middle of the night with a big grin. Malcolm is king of the Mexican 1000, a 1,000-mile off-road race down the peninsula of Baja California, Mexico. He goes so fast he should be in a class by himself. One year he drove a dune buggy to see what that was like and was running second before he broke down. Here again, at a pit stop, he didn't say dust, tough, tired. Instead, typical Malcolm.
Look like you're having a good time, Malcolm.
Oh, great. Lots of fun.
See any incidents out there? Any problems?
No.
Turn around this way for just a second.
Only one I ever see is Larry Berquist.
Yeah, well, they're up ahead of you still.
Yeah, we know. We can't keep up with the motorcycle.
He couldn't keep up with the motorcycle that year, but every other year, the lone dust cloud across Lake Chapala was Malcolm Smith and his motorcycle. He never failed to lead. One year, he was 2 hours ahead of the next machine at the halfway point and rode the final 200 miles on a flat front tire. The rougher and tougher the event, the more skill and human endurance it takes, the better Malcolm likes it. As he would say himself, that was really neat. El Escorial, Spain, near Madrid, the site of the International Six-Day Trial, the ultimate test of man and machine. The Six-Day Trials is the Olympic Games of motorcycle sport, held for the 45th year. 348 riders from 16 countries have gathered to compete, among them Malcolm Smith. Here, getting his bike inspected and marked prior to the first day. Each part in the motorcycle is marked with a special paint. In 6 days of riding, no parts can be changed without being disqualified. Even internal engine parts are marked and the engine is sealed. The only parts that can be changed are control cables, chains, tires, and tubes. At 6:45 in the morning, the first of the riders get underway. They leave 4 per minute. The colors on their helmets denote the rider's country. Germans in white, Spanish in yellow, Italians red, English green, Czechoslovakians in blue, the Swedes with yellow and blue. Malcolm number 242 would be starting on the 60th minute. Of all the events Malcolm rides, this is the only one he takes very seriously. There's no prize money involved. The top prize for an individual rider is a gold medal. Off goes Malcolm and 348 others through the countryside of Spain, the beginning of a grueling adventure. The concept of the event is quite simple: to ride about 200 miles per day for 6 straight days and keep on a prescribed time schedule. The trouble is, none but the best can keep up the time schedule, and these riders are the best in the world. It's an honor just to be selected to ride the 6 days. You go through a series of checkpoints each day. You can get there early, but you can't clock through until your prescribed minute. You lose 1 mark for each minute you're late to any checkpoint. In all, there are 65 time checks. If you're only 1 minute late to any one of these, you lose a mark. To win a gold medal, you can't lose a single mark in 6 days of riding. It's hard to appreciate the difficulty of the 6 days without being there. It's hard to realize just how long 6 days on a motorcycle really is. The best riders are usually the Europeans. Most are paid a salary year-round to ride. A gold medal at the 6-day trials sells a lot of motorcycles in Europe. Malcolm isn't paid. In fact, he pays all his own expenses just to go over there and compete. During the competition, the temperatures range from 80 degrees to 20 degrees. They went from 2,000 feet to over 8,000 feet, riding in the clouds in the mountains of Spain. Of the 1,200 miles the event covers, about 800 of it is trails like this that may last for 40 miles. On the foot pegs maneuvering like 6 days on a bongo board. The speed average, 24 miles an hour, but very few can keep it up. All work in the machine must be done by the contestant himself with no outside help. The bikes are locked up except during the time you're riding against the clock. The only time to make repairs or adjustments is if you can get ahead of schedule and stop to do it. If you can't change a tire in 4 minutes, you're not competitive in the 6-day trials. The only tools you can use for anything are what you carry with you. If anyone hands you a tool or helps you in any way, you're disqualified. If you keep your bike together, change tires fast enough, keep on time, and lose no marks, you still haven't won a gold medal. You have to compete in a series of special tests at the end of each day's riding. One is this 200-meter acceleration test. Clock top speed at the end earns needed bonus points. Except there's a sound meter in that tent, and if you make too much noise going by, bonus points are subtracted instead of added. Another special test at the end of each day is a 5-mile time cross-country loop, sort of a motocross against the clock. The fastest times earn the most bonus points, and to earn enough bonus points for a gold medal, you have to be in the top 30%. The motorcycles have mufflers and lights, which are under the number plate, and you can be stopped at any time and have your light checked. If it doesn't work, you have to stay there until you make it work. In the special test, Malcolm has to go fast, but not too fast. He's got to save the machine. He's got to save his body. There are more days to come. Day after day, Malcolm left in the morning chill from El Escorial, stiff and sore, but on time. Each day, he left to do battle with the clock and the elements of Spain. Mostly fatigue in his face, but on time. The 6 days, more than any event, tests a man's all-around ability, his riding, his endurance, mechanical skill, and his ability to think clearly when tremendously fatigued. If you do everything right, don't make one mistake in 6 days, you win this gold medal. Malcolm won one in Poland, he won one in Germany, and he won this one in El Escorial, Spain. Back in the United States, what's Malcolm do? Heads for another motorcycle race with his friend Steve McQueen. The event is the Elsinore Grand Prix. 1,500 motorcyclists line up in the main street waiting for the start. "1,500 riders and 50,000 spectators fill the little town. It's a 100-mile race through the streets of the city and into the foothills outside of town. The average age of the 2,000 Elsinore residents is 60 years old, and it's the only town in America that welcomes such an event. The residents love it, and so do the riders." Malcolm will be starting in the second row, Steve starting in the fourth row. Held back by a rope, riders leave at 10-second intervals, 10 abreast. It was supposed to be 10-second intervals, but it got a lot shorter than that. You could tell the most eager riders by the rope burns on their neck. By the time the race was 2 miles old, Malcolm passing the last rider and taking the lead. It had rained a few days before, and there was a big puddle. As the pack came thundering through, the water puddle turned into a mud puddle. Then it turned into a mud hole. The first 200 riders made it through, but for the 1,300 yet to come, it was all stop. There's no money involved in the race, a trophy for the winner. In fact, they pay a $15 entry fee for the honor of riding. While they were getting out of the mud hole, Malcolm had opened up a commanding lead. Malcolm rides so smoothly and effortlessly, he doesn't appear to be going very fast. He is. There's 1,499 riders behind him. When he came back through town at the end of the first lap, he was so far ahead, there were no other riders in sight. With the rest of the riders thundering through town, it was sport for the spectators to see if they could get across the street before they got run over by a motorcycle. Everyone rides Elsinore. If there's one event you ride a year, it's usually the Elsinore Grand Prix. People of all ages, girls, the pig farmer from Marietta. There's only about 200 riders who are seriously competitive. For the rest, it's a great Sunday adventure. Doing wheelies through town to dazzle their friends, bouncing off any object in sight, missing half the corners, and ripping out 10 miles of banners and dragging them back through town. The people of Elsinore can't believe what's going on in their town. They pull a chair up in their front yard and have a grandstand seat. Number 48, Steve McQueen, entered under the name of Harvey Mushman. But it didn't take long for the spectators to figure out who number 48 really was. She was dazzled, but her husband wasn't too impressed. Yeah, I could do that. Steve really earned the respect of his fellow riders. Some of them didn't realize what a good rider he really is. His car racing experience gives him the ability to pick the perfect line through the corners. In the subsequent Elsinore race, Steve crashed, broke his foot, got up and finished 8th, broken foot and all. It was Malcolm Smith's day. When Malcolm passes you, it's a mistake to try and stay with him. In the lead, but still time for a wave to a friend beside the course. Malcolm's got an uncanny sense for doing the right thing. Here, swerving off the course through a hole in the barbed wire fence and around the now cleaned out mud hole. Back through the fence again without missing a beat and passing 6 guys in the process. What's the guy who rides motorcycles every Sunday do for a living? Malcolm owns a motorcycle shop. In 10 laps, Malcolm passed 7,000 riders, some of them 3 times. Malcolm almost never makes a bobble or a mistake. It's about 200 feet down off the side of the road. When it was all over, it was Malcolm Smith. There he stood in the pits with his ear-to-ear grin. He didn't even look tired. Steve turned in a great ride, finishing 10th overall, riding against the best riders in the country for this kind of event.
Every time I start thinking the world is all bad, then I start seeing some people out there having a good time on motorcycles, and it makes me take another look. Well, it was good fun.